Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call this Elyria Planning Commission meeting to order here at 11:11, and we'll start with a roll call.
Tom Aden.
Here.
Sam Battle.
Here.
Barry Hubbard.
Here.
Jim Onderko.
Here.
Don Calvert. Here. Mayor Whitfield.
Here.
Derek Tedrow.
Here.
First, I want to thank you all for your patience. There's some things we're going to have to talk through for the agenda. There's certain items that were not referred properly to City Council. So we are not going to be able to vote on certain things today, but there are a number of items today we will be able to vote on and refer and discuss. So the first item of business, though, is the approval of the minutes from the November 7th meeting.
So move.
Is there a motion to approve? I hear a motion by Mr. Battle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Onderko. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. So the two items are the first two items on the agenda, the Hubert Oliver legacy and Kids Are Us. Unfortunately, these items were not referred to City Council, and according to our charter, the item must be referred to City Council before we hear them here. So unfortunately, those two items we will not be able to vote on today. So if you'd still like, if someone from Hubert Oliver Legacy, are they present? Anyone from there present?
Hold on the first two.
I don't see any either of them here.
And what about Kids Are Us? Okay. So yeah, we'll make sure to touch base with you after this meeting to talk through what those logistics are to make sure that you get on the next Planning Commission agenda. But unfortunately today we won't be able to hear your case for the variance. Next on the agenda we have RBR development. We are able to hear this one. This is 27201 Royalton Road, Columbia Station, Ohio, 44020. Requesting a final plat for Phase 4 for River Run New Subdivision, parcel number 1000007101121. Is there someone from RBR Development here? And if they could please approach the microphone. You could please state your name and business address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Rich Barron, 27201 Royalton Road, Columbia Station. I represent RBR. We're here to request for final plat for Phase 4 be approved. Phase 4 is a total of 27 lots, bringing the total to 130 lots. This is the last phase of River Run. All of the utilities and all the pavement and all the other items are completed at this time.
Okay, thank you. If you could please stay there. We have some staff reports. I'll start with Chief Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. The proponent is requesting approval for a Phase 4 of a residential plan unit development. This phase includes 6.5102 acres, of which includes Block L through M, and is focalized on the northeasterly portion of the subdivision of Leatherleaf Drive, consisting of 28 sublots. My recommendations are: the proposal appears to adhere to the development standards as per the original zoning review completed in 2020. I recommend approval of the proposal contingent. All requirements have been satisfied with the City of Elyria Engineering Department, and I will defer to the Engineering Department for further recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Farkas. Any staff report from engineering?
Thank you, Mayor. Engineering has reviewed the Plat 4, and everything appears to be in order. Only items that are not completed on the project right now are sidewalks and I believe street lighting, which typically is what happens in most subdivisions. But sidewalks are built with the home. So, and I believe Ohio Edison is just behind on the poles. Rich.
Yes.
So yes, so everything's in order, and we concur with what the chief building official said, and believe that it should be approved today. Thank you.
Assistant Chief Gall, anything from fire?
Through you, Chair. Fire Department has no comments.
Any questions from the panel here? Okay, are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Any opponents? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for the final plat for Phase 4 for River Run New Subdivision.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Tedrow, second by Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please.
Mr. Aiden, I think, had a comment.
Oh, a comment. Go ahead, please.
No, I seconded, that's all.
Oh, you were the second, okay.
That's all.
Okay. All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we got some technical difficulties here. Okay, hold on just a second. Again, thank you for your patience while we're working through some technology challenges. Is Rich still here? Hey, Rich, while you're still here, before you leave, why don't you come up and talk a little bit about what Phase 4 is for folks in the public who want to know what is this subdivision, where is it, and what is Phase 4? Get a little commercial here while we're a little commercial break.
It's 27 lots, like he had said, in the far northeast corner out of a 130 lot subdivision, Middle Avenue across from Elko in the entranceway. This is the subdivision that tied in with Harvest Meadows just recently. So I think there was a period of time where you couldn't get from Middle to Indian Hollow, and now that is all complete.
So now it's connected from Middle Avenue all the way over to the other development?
Yeah,
Oh,
Indian
wow.
Hollow all the way out through, so our subdivision, River Run, is being built by Ryan Homes, and the Harvest Meadows is Scalvani Homes. But it is connected, everything is totally installed, and you can get through there now.
And just for the public, we're talking, if you go down Middle Avenue, you pass Fuller Road, you pass Colonial Oaks, that housing development is just past there, correct?
Yeah, just south of Colonial Oaks, and the entrance is across from Elko.
And how many houses is currently been built there?
So we would be in the 70s, I would think, yeah. Probably somewhere more than 70, less than 80.
Mm-hmm. And the plan for this phase is to build 27 more, did you say?
This is 27, and then a couple months back, we were in front of you for Phase 3, which was 17 or 19 lots.
Okay.
So this is the whole very east end.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the commercial break. We're just going to ask everybody to speak very clearly into the microphones and as loud as they can, not as loud as they can, but as clearly as they can into the microphone. The next on the agenda is Tillin LTD, 260 South Logan Street, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, requesting a conditional use permit to establish a new subdivision at 264 Windsor Drive, Elyria, Ohio, 44035. If there's someone representing Tillin LTD, please come to the microphone and state your name and business address for the record.
Bob Yost, 260 South Logan, and it's actually Ty Lin Limited.
Oh, like my friend Tyler.
There you go, bud.
Ah, got
Yeah,
you.
basketball player.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Yost, why don't you explain what this project is?
Okay, this is the property that was once Windsor School, about close to 10 acres. And as you can see on the map, what we're proposing is 13 four-unit buildings and one two-unit building. We've also tucked in a space for some a couple pickleball courts down at the bottom and what would be the right-hand side. Where are you going with my picture, girl? We do have what we feel is adequate space for retention of our water. As you know, at one time there was 400 students here, lots of vehicles, lots of buses, lots of things going on a daily basis. These units are typical to what we build at Stonehenge, Oak Tree, as well as where we're currently building at Ridgewater. We are making some changes to the plan. We're making them a little bit larger based on information that people have come to us and said, gee, we wish we had a little bit more storage space. So these are going to be just a touch bigger price range. We're going to try to be in the $225,000 to $230,000 price range on these, and it's completely private. The street will be private. We use Lawrence Management as our management team, who's done an excellent job on all of our subdivisions to date, and about 1,450 square feet each. And I'll leave it open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Yost. We'll do staff reports and start with Chief Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. This request is in regards to a conditional use and a variance request, so this memo will cover both. I have first, the proponent is requesting a conditional use for proposed subdivision located at 264 Windsor Drive. The request asks for a cluster development to be permitted in the residential medium density district, which includes parcel 0625029106.063, consisting of 9.84 acres with 62 units proposed. I've listed the codified ordinance in regards to residential districts, of which does indicate a cluster use is permitted. Conditionally permitted use, which is what I'm going to address first. I indicated under cluster developments all the requirements, lot coverage, setbacks for the board's use, as there are some specifics that have to be met. For the conditional use, the petition is requesting a variance to permit more units than what this particular cluster development would allow. It states that a total of 62 units are proposed to be installed when per the codified ordinance section 1179.04 design standards, specifically section 1179.04A, maximum density requires the entire development area shall not exceed 5 dwelling units per acre. A total of 50 units maximum are permitted utilizing this section. So in short, they're adding an additional 12 units. My staff recommendations are as follows. I recommend that the petition for the conditional use and variance be approved, as the developer has chosen to provide larger side yard setbacks between the units. Code is 15, they're proposing 20, and has also adjusted the building perimeter setbacks to coincide with the strict code regulations of section 1179.04C. This effort, in my opinion, maximizes the area provided and attempts to comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Farkas. And just for the record, for our attorney, we have to hear both of these issues separately, correct? First the subdivision, then the variance, correct? Can you say that on the microphone?
Yes, that has to be done, and on the conditional use, I haven't heard from engineering and from fire, but it's sort of standard what we've done in the past. The additional 12 lots, my recommendation, that really should go to BOZA, because it's a zoning requirement, but the conditional use, I think we should definitely hear today and let you all know.
I just wanted to make sure we're separating the two, so if we do vote on the two. All right, staff report, Engineer Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. The roadway for this subdivision is 24 feet, which is pretty typical of a lot of private drives. There will be no parking allowed on the road. The subdivision does have a few, I believe it's around 17 additional parking spots at the end of each, or at the far western and the far eastern end in total. There are no sidewalks for this subdivision. City ordinances do state that all roads have sidewalks on both sides. In the past, Planning Commission has waived sidewalk requirements for private subdivisions like this, with the parking being on the ends and the mailboxes being in the center of the overall development. It would be preferred to have sidewalks to those, at least on one side. it would, I believe there is enough room out there to accommodate that. But other than that, that's,
Mr. Yost, would you like to address that?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to state that we do have 43% of common areas, so we're almost only using half of the property to achieve our goal. I think a sidewalk on one side, it would depend on, and I could deal with John through engineering, the location of the sidewalk as far as setback off the curb, off the edge of the pavement, or whether it would be up away from the pavement, because inevitably it would, at some point, it would have to set the units back further into the backyard setback, okay? Which I don't think we want to do. Our backyard setbacks are 50 to 60 feet deep, which is exceptionally deep in this type of subdivision. Plenty of space between the adjacent property owners as well as the new building. The previous 3 subdivisions we've done, none of those have sidewalks. And we haven't had any complaints as such. We are going to do the mailboxes in the center, because typically what most people do is they pull up in their car when they get home from night, because it's a community box now. We no longer have individual box delivery, and they get out of their car and they get their mail, and then they go to their residence. So, but I'll be glad to have that discussion further if that's a consideration.
Any questions from the panel here? Mr. Hubbard?
Yes, just for Mr.
Please
Farkas.
speak into the microphone.
For Mr. Farkas, I just wanted to verify that the density and those sorts of things are comparable to what we've otherwise done with cluster homes in the area.
Mr. Chair, through you, yes, they're very close.
Did everybody on the panel hear that question? Okay. Any other questions from the panel? Okay, are there any other, thank you, Mr. Yost. Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Any opponents? Please come to the microphone, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yep.
My name is Jo Seigitz. I live at 690 North Abbey Road. I own 1.8 acres, which are parallel to the property where Mr. Yost wants to build those cluster homes, as well as that section. I'm not sure where that's located from here, but my concern is Black River. It runs, I have a overspill, I call it a creek, that goes behind my property, and it goes under the school, what was previously elementary school, and it goes out to another, I'd call creek, behind neighbors on the other side by Alexander Drive in their backyard. And I'm concerned about that because that water provides, or that overflow provides water for the wildlife as well as the trees and everything that grows there. So what is going to happen with that? There's a lot of wildlife there. There's everything but bears. So, and I'm concerned. Oh, hello.
Yeah. Hold on, Mr. Yost. I'll call you up. I just want to make sure that people may have questions for her. So if you could have a seat, we'll.
Thank you.
So ma'am, I still have questions for you. So can you talk a little bit?
I have more questions as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, keep going then. You still have more
okay.
questions. Yeah, we can keep going.
Okay. That's one big concern because I think people need to be aware of what the intentions are from the city of Elyria, as well as the engineering side of what's going to happen to their property. I know that my creek will not be impacted, but that water has to flow somewhere. So where is it going to go? And if they're going to discontinue that flow, what's going to happen to the people that have the creek, I know the overflows in their backyard? Are they aware that the city's going to be changing those plans? That's number one. And number two, I have is traffic. It's been mentioned to me that it was the schoolyard, school buses, the whole 9 yards. However, those children and teachers were there from 9 to 3, and they left in the evenings They weren't there on the weekends. They weren't there on holidays, summers, vacations, you name it. And now you're talking about 62 units, which is 62 people, which should have a vehicle per unit. That's 62 vehicles you're going to introduce into that little area off Windsor. What's going to happen with traffic? Abbey Road, this is the truth. Yesterday, I was trying to get out of my driveway. It took over 5 minutes to get out of my driveway, and that's on a normal day. The traffic is getting really out of control. There's signs that the mayor has put out there, 4 of them on Abbey Road, to monitor their speed limits. It says 35, but I can guarantee you that if 1 out of 20 vehicles adhere to that speed limit, that would be very impressive. That's my concern as well, because now you're introducing 42 vehicles in addition to what was already the traffic on North Abbey Road. And I know at one point they had put a traffic light on I think Windsor Street, because they were doing construction there, and that sort of slowed everybody down. So they had to stop. Otherwise, they're doing 60, 65. There's not only, it's a residential area, but there's wildlife, there's kids, there's everything. There's a school, and that's another concern I have. And then also, people have been living in that area for 10 to 30 years, if not more. And a lot of people, their property's open. There are no fences. And now—
Can you stay close to the microphone? I couldn't hear
sorry.
what you said.
Okay, people have been living in that area at least 10 to 20 years, if not more. And a lot of the people's properties or backyards are open. There are no fences. So when you're introducing 62 units, that's at least 1 person per unit. And it's been my experience since I have most of my properties opened, that people think if it's an opened area, they have a right to just cut through, trespass, walk, take advantage of it. So the neighbors on that side, they're all opened. Their backyards are all opened, and I'm just concerned about what's going to happen with that. I mean, if I have to pull out of my own pocket to fence in 1.8 acres, I will, but just for security and peace of mind, because you're bringing a whole neighborhood into, to me, a small 10-acre area, which is small. So,
Well, thank you for sharing. I just want to recap. You had 3 concerns that
Yes.
I think I was able to follow. One was this idea of the elimination of privacy due to the density and people being accustomed to kind of
yes,
open spaces.
everything's open there. Not everything. On the side of Alexander, they have fencing.
Yep.
However, I have woods that go 585 feet back from, I don't know exactly, it's 1.8 altogether, and that's not, half of it's fenced in, but the other half facing Windsor is not, except for 60 feet coming from the way back. So,
So that's one concern, correct?
yeah, because I don't think the neighbors know what they're planning to do.
Okay. Then the second concern was traffic, and then the third concern was its impact on water flow and the
Black
environment.
River, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because
Well,
if
thank you.
that's blocked off or there any problems, that's going to cause flooding, backing up. And I'm next to the church. It used to be Community United Methodist Church, however, they changed their name, and I don't recall what it is, but they spent thousands of dollars on redoing that whole flow into my creeks or whatever. So that's what I have to say, because I've been living there a long time, and I don't mind change, but as long as it's for the better.
Yes, thank you for sharing, big time. Mr. Yost, would you like to come up and share any sort of response to any of those 3 concerns?
Yeah, we have, my surveyor has located the outlet structure that she's referring to from her property for the stormwater. It does happen to fall almost in line with the retention basin, going directly due south between the first 2 units. I think that, I mean, again, we'll have to inspect that and see the validity of the pipe that's there and actually have that sized. But again, we'll deal with engineering to make sure that water issue is addressed. As far as the traffic, I can't speak to that. I mean, people drive, I won't disagree, they all drive kind of crazy, but yeah, and it is a change, and we respect that. And hopefully, with our experience with what we've done in the past, and I think our track record stands on its own, everybody will like what's there, and The people that move there typically are 50 and older, a lot of single people, quiet, just kind of peaceful. So hopefully that addresses her concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Yost. Chief Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. As this is a conditional use request, the next portion is the actual subdivision review. In that, I will tune into the landscaping and buffer requirements, which addresses some of the concerns, which basically indicates common areas shall be maintained with as a natural buffer from adjoining properties. Additional screening and buffering may be required within the required setbacks of the existing public street and perimeter. So there are some parameters that can be taken during that next step.
Yeah, so Chief Farkas, I was actually going to ask Engineer Schneider to do it, but maybe you could do it kind of in order of operation of how this process works, I think, for the panel as well as the general public in terms of this is what this step represents, and then what are the future steps before a shovel is in the ground?
The next step, Mr. Chair, is it goes to council to be approved.
But before you do that, what is the current step we're at?
Right now, we're trying to get the conditional use to approve to allow a cluster development in a residential medium density district. That cannot happen unless a conditional use is established. This is step one. That goes to council to be approved and heard. If that makes it through that filter process of council, it's then approved. Then Mr. Yost submits the subdivision plan. That includes the details in regards to what he's going to do: parking, mailboxes, shrubbery, et cetera. That filtration process will come back here and be heard for a vote. Again, evoking questions, concerns that which may be addressed. And then after that, it moves on to, again, the approval process.
Thank you, Chief Farkas. I've heard some chatter out in the audience. I don't know if people want to speak. If so, you can come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You just raised your hand. Were you trying to get up? I see two people raising their hand. State your name and address for the record and make your comment.
Kenny Oswald, 237 Pepperdine Drive. I know speeding goes on everywhere, but I'm a councilman in that area, and I get a update every month on the speedometer thing, and we're usually between 93 and 95% compliant on the speed that's in that area. Now, knowing that people speed up and slow down and they see the sign, they slow down, I get it. But I just want to let you know, speeding's going to happen. But for the most part, it's like 93 to 95% compliant. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, if you could state your name. Hey, good to see you. Name and address for the record.
Edwina Johnson. I live at 256 Windsor Drive, which is directly in front of the development. And right next door, too, where they're going to have the entrance of driving in and out, according to that picture up there. So I'm really, really concerned, like everyone else, with the traffic, because there's 25 miles per hour in the whole area back in there, but those of us that live there actually drive 25. And I'm really concerned, like you said, with them right up on our backyards like that, there's going to be a whole lot of activity that we're going to have to be dealing with. And another question is, he keeps saying units. Are these 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? How many people will be in each unit? So that will make a difference too, because more people, of course, a lot more activity. We'll have to deal with a lot more of the noise and the construction, everything that's going on, people living there. So I'm really quite concerned with that being so much right up on our homes. I know something has to be done with the property, but does it have to be this?
Thank you for that. Mr. Yost, would you like to address the question about the number of units? You got to come to the microphone. Can you come to the microphone and state that there's folks watching virtually and folks here?
Yeah, there are 2-bedroom units.
2-bedroom
Master
units.
bedroom and a spare bedroom.
Okay. Yep. And then in terms of the traffic piece, I think Engineer Schneider and this whole idea of the buffer, I think Chief Farkas can maybe speak to this as well. What this is saying is just, correct me if I'm wrong, this is, we're voting on today if we want to permit 62 units to go into this area. How that is configured, there'll be another meeting in the future to determine what are the configurations to make those 62 units work in this space. If we didn't vote on this today, I guess one of my other questions is the 50 unit piece that's already in legislation. Is that permitted, or will we still need, even if it was 50 units, we would need to vote on that today?
Mr. Chair, the code permits a maximum of 50 units based on the acreage provided. That wouldn't be before the panel because it complies with code.
Yeah, I just thought that was important for the record, that, say Mr. Yo said I was doing 50 units instead of 62, there wouldn't be a meeting here to talk about it. He has the right now within the law to build 50 units on that site. So you know, I don't know if that helps or hurts, but it's just good to know that. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. So the first vote is just for the conditional use permit. So we're not talking about 50 or 62, just will you recommend to council whether conditional use should be granted to this property subdivision? Then the council would approve that. The second vote, which we really haven't got to yet, is whether it's 50 or 62 and how do we get there. So the first vote is just the conditional use permit for that location.
So I guess that was my question. So my question was, is this first vote even allowing for the 50? Or so if there's no meeting today, 50 units cannot go here.
Well, the conditional use, under our code, a conditional use has to be approved by planning commission, or at least recommended.
Mm-hmm.
We can recommend against it, and then council has to hear it. So
Gotcha.
any conditional use has to come before us for an opinion, and then voted by council, no matter what.
Okay, because that's just different than what Chief Farkas responded to my question. Maybe my question wasn't clear, but now he just clarified it, and I'll state the statement again, because my comment was based upon your response, Chief Farkas, which I think maybe you misunderstood what I was asking. If there's no meeting today, there's no 50 units. Hold on, let me just finish real quick. The meeting today, voting on this conditional use permit, is to allow 50 units to be able to be built here. The variance is to allow 62 to be built here. Is that a correct framework?
Mr. Chair, through you, Mr. Yost cannot move forward with his plans to build here without a conditional use, regardless of the number. So without this conditional use, he can't do anything.
Yep.
Granted, we could then kick into how many.
And I think that's important because for the public and for people voting, the fundamental question of the hour is, do you want housing being built at this location? And you have the right now to be able to make a voice to say yes or no on that, and that's what we're voting on first. Then we get to the variance on the numbers. So I think that's important to know. Mr. Hubbard.
Yes, I do have a couple questions for Mr. Yost, if he can. I know you've indicated in the past that you've done a couple other of these cluster home divisions, and I think you indicated that the average age of the residents tends to be about 50 years old or older. Has it been your experience that age has kind of been maintained even through subsequent property transfers, that seems to be the type of market that these cluster homes appeal to?
Yes, it is. I mean, typically what we find is the individuals that are coming to us are moving out of the Heights, larger homes, two-story homes, older adults. They're basically cash buyers. And the where we're at now, Ridgewater's $210,000, $211,000 for the product that we're selling. It's very attractive to them. I mean, my realtor happens to be sitting here, and he can speak to the demand of that product, and that's why we think it fits here. Could we do single-family homes? Yeah, we could, but the requirement on the lot and everything changes, and the amount of the cost that would be involved to buy a single-family home would be in the $350,000, $375,000 range. We don't believe that fits in that marketplace today.
Okay.
It just doesn't do it. So we think we're bringing a product to market that fits within the neighborhood, that supports the neighborhood, that we have strong demand for because we have an aging population within the city.
All right. And then one last question for Mr. Farkas. I just wanted to verify that, I know it's been raised before, the issue of sidewalks or landscaping or that really would be something that we can address at the final, once the subdivision is finally defined, correct?
Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Hubbard, yes. There's multiple filters that this project goes through, and the next one will kick into a little more details.
Thank you.
Just trying to pull up on the map here, just because people can get
Mayor,
some context.
it would be after Stafford, so you'd have to go push the map farther up. Bob can probably point it faster than I can, but that's the new Northwood where your arrow's at now. Is that it? That is the right one? Okay. Northwood's farther up, okay, then that's the one. Was that the right site? That is the right site, they're saying, okay.
Please, ma'am.
Okay, yep, okay, it's north of the church, okay, I'm staying corrected, sorry.
Okay, now. Diane Googie, 700 North Abbey, we're directly behind, school's directly behind us. How close are you going to get to our property line? I mean, we've never had anything but the school back there in almost 49 years. So we'd like to know, I mean, that's going to be a lot for us. You know, there's all these things back there. They're noisy. It's going to be noisy in this neighborhood. And most people there, like the other lady said, we've been there a long time, all of us on that street, you know, on Abbey. So I'd like to know how far you're going to come back on the line. Are you coming all the way back to where we got our property?
I got to talk in a moment. I believe our backyard setback in that portion is 36 feet for the properties that back up, which I think is a total of 8 units. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, the plan has since disappeared. But it's 36 feet. And as far as the noise, I mean, I invite you to go over to Ridgewater, Stonehenge, or Oak Tree. This is not typical living like you're used to in a neighborhood. There are probably in all 3 of those subdivisions total 2 school-age children. That's it. They're older adults, they're retired, they're relaxing, and they're enjoying life. There's very little activity at all in the evenings or on the weekends. Yeah, you can have a dog, and yeah, the dog can bark, but that's not what we're marketing to. We're marketing to the 55 and over age group that just is chilling and relaxing. So I don't know where the noise is going to come from.
Mr. Yost, if you don't mind, you mentioned some of the other developments that if folks had questions or concerns, which would you say is going to be most like this one, this development here?
Ridgewater, off of West River Road, out by Church of the Open Door.
So over by Church of the Open Door, near the Marco's Pizza, food.
Right.
Food is how I know where things are.
Yeah.
So by the Marco's Pizza, do you know that sort of development is what you can go look at if you want to see what the model of this one is going to be like?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Whitney, if you want to pull the agenda back up, or... Oh, we got another, yep, please.
I want to ask you, is there going to be, there's not going to be no other street but right there on Windsor to come back into that development? It's not going to be one coming down the other street over there?
Can you pull up the plan, the site plan again? And again, these things are still to be,
So we have we have a walkway that goes from that development all the way down.
So today, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Farkas and Jim Taylor, today is conceptual. Does the community, does the city of Elyria want to allow for a housing development on this site? And there will be a future meeting, if that is approved, to determine the things that have been brought up today. How much space between the houses, what type of road, entry pass, all of those things will be worked out at a future meeting. This today is around the concept. Is the city of Elyria receptive to a housing development happening at this school location where the former school is?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I think we had one other here. You want to come up, state your name and address for the record, and your comment?
Alan Rogers. I live at 327 Windsor Drive. My question is, they said it was a private community. Is that like a gated community? And are these like duplexes that are going to be rentals or condos that will be owned?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
Okay, the units are 4 units in a building and 1 is a 2-unit building. We don't rent them. We don't rent them. An individual, it doesn't preclude somebody from buying one, and renting it. We have had situations where we've had parents buy and allow their kids to rent from them, okay? Or vice versa. We've actually had a young man buy and his mom lives there and he paid for it, okay? But the intent is not to rent. So, and it's not a gated community. We don't close it off.
So when you use the word private, what are you referring to when you use the word private?
Everything is maintained and taken care of by the association, okay? Which is Lawrence Management, the people that represent the people, basically. So that would be the repair of the sewers, the water, the grass cutting, the snow removal, the maintenance of the retention basin. All those things are dealt with accordingly.
Thank you. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Prestige Blakely, 256 Windsor Drive. This is my grandmother here. I just wanted to ask the question of, when you say 4 units per building, does that mean a multifamily home that someone can buy the whole building, or just per unit they could buy? I'm confused on that.
Typically, we sell them by the unit. We have not had anybody come to us and want to buy 4 units. Could somebody come to us and want to buy 4 units? I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, but again, Chad sells most of them over there. He's sitting here, he could address that. We haven't had anybody that's bought more than, we did have 2 sisters buy 2 side by side. So we have had that happen. But basically they're fee simple structures. Each one has a deed. Each one has a property line. But they're connected with a common wall. Yeah, they're connected with a common firewall. Yes.
Any other questions from anyone from the public? Any questions or comments from anyone? Yep, please.
Hi. I was just wondering, as this move, whatever's decided today, and it moves forward, can the residents attend those meetings?
Yes, no doubt about it. And I would also recommend having conversations with Mr. Yost because he can get, if you talk to him, he's very approachable and he can address some of these concerns prior to that public meeting. But that was public, you'll get a notice for that meeting the same way you got a notice for today's meeting. You'll get a notice for that meeting when that comes as well.
Okay, and I guess from listening to the conversations today, it really comes down to they're like condos, basically. No. It sounds like, well, you know, if they're purchasing them, they have to purchase them, which is a condo, even though it's, and they're attached, and they're paying a fee, like a association fee. That's condo to me. There's a difference. Well, okay, wait.
So the question is kind of just explaining the difference between condos and how this is managed.
Right. There's an extreme difference between a condo association and a cluster association. In a condo association, you only buy or get the footprint of the building. In a cluster, you actually buy the space defined around the building that's not considered common space. The dues are handled differently in the respect that in a cluster, you pay for your own insurance. And in a condo, the association covers your insurance. So they're 2 entirely different animals. We don't want condos. We want clusters. Better for everybody.
So I see there's a discussion in the lobby. Mr. Snyder, do you want to pull up on the computer what you're showing or make any comment?
1 second.
Chad's pretty savvy. You can give him the mouse. He knows how to run a computer.
I didn't know if that was Chad Schneider, 211 Harvard Avenue, Elyria. I just wanted to take a moment and a couple of people had asked questions about what they would look like, and this is a sample of what we have over off of West Ridge Road. The product is very popular. We've done Stony Brook off of West River, Oak Tree Place off of South Logan, and now West Ridge, and then Windsor would be our fourth location. We're getting traffic from everywhere. This is a very, like I said, a popular product because you can get a new construction for under $300,000, which is unheard of in this market. They're very well maintained. The association does a great job maintaining them. They do all the landscaping, the snow removal. They keep everything nice. So you won't have any eyesores. You know, you're not going to be looking at anything bad. They'll be very, very well maintained. So this is a front section of, this is just showing one unit, but there's 4 per building, and I think Mr. Yost has a building of 2, right? So you'll just have 2 garages on that one. But this is a sample, and obviously, he's making some adjustments. He's taken some feedback in from the market. He's making some adjustments. I don't even know what those adjustments are yet, but he is making them a little bigger than this. And this is an inside unit. An end unit has additional windows. And I don't know if I have, yeah, so this is just a close-up.
So I hope that, and again, these you're more than welcome. You don't have to show the next one.
Right.
You know, you're more than welcome to drive over to these developments at, excuse me. Did y'all have a comment that y'all wanted to make? You right here in the hat, were you? Okay. Again, if you want to make a comment, just please come up here. You don't have to have the discussion in the lobby, then, you know, just come on up. Please state your name and address for the record. All right, sir.
Rumor had it that the Spring Valley wanted to build condos and was told by the city that wastewater could not handle the system. Now we're talking about what, 50-some units on Windsor, which is just over top of the hill. Who's going to pay for the storage on that? Or what are they going to do? Levy us for another water treatment system? Or who's going to pay for the storage at this?
It's a great question, sir. We can answer that. So we'll give, is that the only question you have?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have Mr. Yost come up, but before he does that, if Engineer Schneider could talk about the city sewer capacity to be able to handle a development like this, and how do we assess that?
Thank you, Mayor. Unfortunately, I don't know where the development will be tied into at, whether it be at Windsor or at Alexander, or you could possibly even tie it in on Abbey Road. There are sewer challenges in the Windsor area as far as I&I. It's not that the sanitary sewer is undersized, it's just that there's too much stormwater getting into it. This is part of our long-term control plan that we will look into in the future, as well as to try to eliminate a lot of I&I in the area. But as far as the new subdivision that goes in, it would be totally installed by the developer. It will be watertight to, to EPA standards as well as city standards. So the only thing going into it will be the sanitary that's allowable. But I don't have a full detailed plan of how the plan, or how this is going to be developed to totally answer that question.
And Mr. Yost, you want to speak to, this being a private development, how is this sewer how is the infrastructure built for this development?
As the developer, we'll have the Polaris Engineering do the design. That will have to be approved by the city engineering department as well as the Ohio EPA. Those expenses are all on us as the developer. We pay for all that. Each person will have their own individual fee assessed by the city for their sewer and water. I would like to point out, when there was 400 kids there there was a whole lot of going on in the bathrooms. Now we're reducing it to about 65, 70 people. So we've taken quite a bit of the capacity of the sewer and the use of the water away from that particular location. And again, these expenses are ours. We pay for them, and they are very well, there's rules to doing it, not only city rules, state rules, and the Ohio EPA rules. So we have to conform to all of that, and those drawings will be produced and presented.
Thank you, sir. So I hope that answered your question. So the private developer is responsible for building that sewer infrastructure. That was one of your questions around who pays for it. He's going to pay for that. Yeah, so did someone else have a comment? Will you please come up, state your name and address for the record? You can pull that mic down to you.
My name is Kimberly McDonough. I'm the daughter of Mr. Hill that just spoke. My question is Mr. Yost is saying that these cluster homes are going to be 55 year and older. Are you going to accept applicants for anyone younger than that? My father has lived there for over 40-something years. Safe, quiet, good area. And you stated that people from the Heights are moving on over there. What's happening in the Heights right now? All the crime and the shooting. Is that going to follow them over here to this area? This is my concern for my father. He lives alone. He can barely see. He can't hear. Okay? So, you know, crime is everywhere, but also follows. And you don't know. I don't care if you're 70 years old. You can still be in the crime life. Are you going to screen your applicants? This is what I want to know.
By law, we're not allowed to screen our applicants that come to us and buy our product. I can't control where crime goes and where it doesn't go. And if somebody is younger than 50 years of age, we will entertain selling them the product. But it's not up to me. I can't tell people how to live or what to do or what not to do. I just can't. So I hope that answers your question.
Hello again. I just have one comment to make, and I think the point is being missed. Yeah, there were maybe 400 students and teachers, and maybe it was very active during Monday through Friday from 9 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But after that, there was no activity there. And that was every evening, Monday through Friday, weekends, no activity, holidays, summer, all of that. So you cannot compare the two. And you're talking about 62 units, maybe 50, and at least one person per unit. So, and that's 24/7. That's a big difference from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, from 24/7, 7 days a week, 352 days a year. So I think that just has to be noted because that's the real world. It's not the school world. Those days are over. He's proposing 24/7, maybe 50 to 62 people, and then if they have kids or dogs or cats, I mean, it's a quiet neighborhood, and there's a lot of wildlife, so they're going to be impacted. We're all going to be impacted, and you don't know what's going to move in there. And then you have to work up your security cameras, all that. It's going to put costs on everybody, and I have to do fencing. I'm going to have to. I don't want nobody on my property, and I have a lot of property to fence in, but that's on me. And I mean, if I have to do it, I'll do it. But as far as the laboratory facilities, you know, you cannot compare. That's apples and oranges. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not reality. It's rose-colored glasses to me. It just doesn't make sense. But that's my last comment. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. You look like you're on the edge of your seat. Yep, come on up.
You say there's no water there. You should walk.
Say that one more time.
The water at the back of the school, it's just sitting back there. So you say there's no water. I'm telling you there's water all over the grass, above the grass. So I think you should look into that.
Engineer Schneider, you want to respond to that, how that would get addressed throughout this process in terms of sitting water and running water, how that would get addressed through this process?
Yeah, in regards to stormwater, the developer will be required to provide a stormwater plan. He will be required to provide drainage around every structure out there. So
this process actually will initiate that getting fixed.
Correct.
You know.
So if you have issues out there, this will help alleviate those issues for sure.
And I'll just say, for the record, from my standpoint, I definitely want to encourage folks to check out the other developments that were mentioned. There hasn't been any issues of crime in any of those developments. I think it's important to note this isn't a program. I know some of the other things we've done in the city are more program-based where somebody applies for the housing. That's not what this is. This is private housing that is being developed. I believe it's at a price point that if someone is involved in crime at that price point, I mean, they're doing a much bigger game than the day-to-day crime that's going on. So I think it's at a price point that you should expect to have quality neighbors. And, you know, I'm in support of the project. But any other comments, questions from the panel or the public? If not, the first item is entertaining the motion to approve the conditional use permit to establish a new subdivision at 264 Windsor Drive, Elyria, Ohio. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Tedrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The second is a variance for a new subdivision, and this variance is to allow for 62 versus the allowed 50. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, apologize, it needs to be in court. I really think this should be something that goes to BOZA because of the significance.
We'll cover our bases. If the law department and city council wants us to go to another place,
Okay.
we would have covered our bases.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, but that's fine.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and properly to second. Any discussion? And for the discussion point, is there any comments, any other proponents for the variance? So the variance again is the 50 to 62. Any other proponents for the variance? Any proponents for the variance? Any proponents for the variance? Any opponents of the variance? Any opponents of the variance? You want to just come up, just say your name real quick, that yes, and just say I oppose, just so we got it on the record, because if folks watching this virtually, they don't know who's in the. So if you could state your name and address, and if you have any comment, but if you want to just state your position.
Edwina Johnson, 256 Windsor Drive. I oppose the 64-something units.
Thank you, thank you.
Joe Seagate, 690 Abbey Road North, and I oppose the 62 units.
Diane Goody, 700 North Abbey, and I oppose it.
William Hill, 351 Windsor, I oppose.
Are there any other opponents? And again, thank you all for your comments. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come up here today and share your thoughts. I definitely respect what I've heard today, and it will impact my vote. So it's been motioned and properly second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Nay. So we have 2 nays, and the rest are all ayes. And again, we'll take this to the law department. They'll decide if they want it to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals or if this is sufficient for the city council to move forward. Thank you all again. Next on the agenda is Ryan Holmes Ridgewater. Are we good on this one, Jim?
This is similar to what Hovanian did when
Okay.
we did the driveways.
But we
This
can hear
should go
this
to
one.
BOZA, because otherwise what happened last time with Hovanian, that people wanted their driveways too bigger on either side. They kept coming one by one by one, and we finally went to Hovanian and said, just do a blanket so that the people have a choice, 18 or 22. This is the same thing. Instead of having people come one at a time, this is purely a zoning change. And so it's not with the construction, the allotment's already approved. This should go to BOZA. There should be a blanket request by the developer, and then I can't speak for them. We've approved them in the past. It makes more sense. This is just a zoning request. There's no subdivision here. It's already been done.
Is someone from Ryan Holmes here representing? Could you please come up to the microphone? And Jim, if you want to explain to the applicant here kind of what you're recommending happen, and then
So what we had before with this type of individual option
Hovnanian put a senior citizen development in and did their driveways at a certain dimension. Very narrow, but within code. Within 6 months, we had 25 applicants come in and say, we want 2 more feet on each side. They were going from the edge of the garage door instead of the edge of the garage itself. And it got to the point where that people were spending so much money, we were spending so much time, that we went and we recommended Hovnanian, and they did do this. They came in and got a blanket. Then you have the option, if somebody wants to put one on, they can put one on. You can sell it as an add-on. But we give you a blanket permission to do this for the entire subdivision that involves these homes. That way, you know, you have the option either way, and it was just purely a zoning requirement because it wasn't part of building your subdivision or anything else. It worked very quickly in that regard, and there was no objection by the Bose. I can't speak for them on this one, but it's the same idea. You're giving an option to do a covered porch in the back, I believe. Isn't that what this is? So you can sell it that way, and if the person says, I don't want a covered porch unless, and if you insist on putting it in, then get the variance. You can just make that a requirement in every one you build, or give the people an option to build with or without the covered porch.
So, hi, my name is Cody Bruce with Ryan Homes. It's 6770 West Snowville Road, Suite 200, Brecksville, Ohio, 441, I think it's wrong, 44141. So you're saying that this is not the right venue for a blanket variance?
When you're asking just for the variance, that usually goes to BOZA. If you're doing subdivision approval and it was part of the overall process, where we were doing a preliminary plat, then that all comes into play. This subdivision is already underway, is correct? So these are individual requests for each unit. Again, you can do a blanket and do it for the whole subdivision. That's what we did for the driveways. And I just recommend that as the simplest way, and it meets the code requirements that we're dealing with, just a zoning issue and nothing else.
Okay. So the way that I submitted, and I guess it's maybe incorrectly then, the way that I submitted was for all of the lots within the phase of the subdivision as a blanket, but you're saying this is not the right venue?
You went to planning commission, it should have gone to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'm sorry, I can't.
You went to the planning commission, it should have been to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
The BZA?
BZA.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
All right, so, does the panel agree? And if so, can we have a motion to refer this over to the Board of Zoning Appeals?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Can it be done that way?
Second by, motion by Mr. Hayden, second by Mr. Anderko. Any further discussion?
That's fine.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll get into the, Villa of the Valleys. Just a second.
We have one more before Villa. We have the Ridgewater LTD on Logan, they're requesting a replat.
Okay, I need a recess though. All right, so Ryan Holmes, if you could stick around, there's one more thing. But can we take a 5-minute recess?
I think it's Bobby. Evolution.
Now, are the other stuff over in University Oaks, are those condos? Those are condos. You know what? Or what are we? I'm glad I'm not at that. You have to go to that one? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I do my memos. So you get to do this free time. Please don't ever go away from it. Phone calls from you guys. Purposeful. And council, I get questions from you. I try to jot some of those down, but. Gosh, I mean, for me, I hate to say it, I'm being very anal. There's a problem. This is, if you guys like it or you don't like it, that's on you. Subdivision, that. I can understand their concern. I have a vacant lot. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
People do weird things, I kid you. It's weird. It's a house off of. In my backyard. He's proposing. That intersects very close to the lot. Parcel there. I think he's combining it or something. So, yeah.
All right. Let's, re-adjourn. So the next item on the agenda is Ridgewater LTD 260 South Logan Street, Elyria, Ohio, requesting a replat for Phase 1 for a new development of single-family lots. Is there someone from Ridgewater? I thought we already heard.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back, Frank. Robert D. Yost, this is also Thailand this is Ridgewater LLC, 260 South Logan. We originally on West Spring Drive had 7 single units, and we would like to replat that into 12 cluster units, basically the same kind of product that we're building in the Ridgewater subdivision, back to the $220,000, $215,000 price range, which is more conducive to the product that we're currently selling. We did allow Ryan Homes into this subdivision, and they're my biggest competition for my single-family homes. And we still maintain 20% open space, which is required. We would have a 4-plex, 2 triplexes, and a 1 duplex that would replace the 7 units. By code, I think Darrell will confirm that we're allowed to have 9, so the variance would be to add 3 additional to make that layout work. The power and sewers work in conjunction with this layout that I've proposed, and I'll leave it open for questions.
All right, thank you. Chief Farkas, you have a staff report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Note, this memo shall serve for both requests as a replat and a variance. The proponent is requesting a replat of the site to accommodate additional cluster unit homes and a rearrangement of the sublots, and the variance asks for additional density to permit 5.84 units per acre when the code only permits 5 units per acre. Staff findings. The subdivision was approved by Planning Commission on 11/4/2020 to install 86 sublots consisting of single-family homes and cluster-type dwelling units. 25 of the lots were located within the cluster Phase 1, sublots 1 through 25, and were to be single-family type homes. 52 will be the cluster-type dwelling units, sublots 26 through 77, in groupings of 4 per cluster, and 9 lots will be standard single-family homes. That would be sublots 78 through 86. The intent is to replace 7 of the single-family lots with 12 cluster-type units consisting of 2, 3, and 4 unit cluster units in Phase 1. As the original 7 lots were calculated into the unit density, the proposal will add an additional 5 units, increasing the density from 77 to 82 in this phase. Per Elyria Codified Ordinance Section 117904 Development Standards, specifically Section 117904A, maximum density requires the entire development shall not exceed 5 dwelling units per acre. A total of 70 units maximum are permitted per this section. It should be noted, a variance was granted by the board to permit 77 units, and a new variance will be needed to permit 82. I've listed the standards for the residential medium density district. I don't feel the need to read unless you guys have questions. I've also listed the cluster development standards and the conditional use standards. I will jump right to the variances and staff recommendations. Variance needed. The cluster development now indicates a proposed total of 82 units to be installed when per the Elyria Codified Ordinance 117904, specifically 117904A, permits a maximum density required shall not exceed 5. The new density will be 5.842 units as using the acreage calculated if approved. Recommendations. I recommend that the petition for the replat and variance be approved, as in my opinion it maximizes the area provided and attempts to comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Farkas. Is there any other staff report? All right. Is there any questions from the panel? All right. Are there any other proponents? 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 Are there any opponents? Any opponents, please come to the microphone. Any opponents? Any opponents? All right, hearing none, we'll take these one item at a time. I'll entertain a motion to approve a request for a replat for Phase 1 for the new development of single-family lots for Ridgewater LTD.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Battle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tedrow. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Second is the request for the variance for the new subdivision, and the variance is, can you go back to and the variance was to take it from being 5 dwelling units per acre to the new density being 5.842 units. Am I correct in that, Jim? That's the right thing? Yeah. Is there a motion to approve that variance?
So moved.
Mr. Mayor, again, this is sort of Mr. Yost earlier one, and you can go ahead and pass it. This may require going to BOZA also.
Yeah, same thing. This might end up going to BOZA through the legal counsel. And I guess, yeah, so is there a motion?
Yes,
Mr.
so moved.
Tedrow, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hubbard. I'm going to open it up for discussion. Are there any proponents? Any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Any opponents? All right, it's been motioned and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Last but not least, we have Villas of the Valley, 1100 Gulf Road, Elyria, Ohio. Making sure this is the last one. Requesting a variance, requesting, establishing a new subdivision. Is there someone from Villa of the Valleys? If you could come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Dave
like they on the board, huh? They've been here so much.
Yeah, Dave Kohler, 130 West Streetsboro Street, Hudson.
Angelo Corna, 20575 Center Ridge Road, Rocky River, Ohio.
So what is your request today?
Well, two things. At the last meeting, we were asked, it was suggested that we table it in order to have a further discussion with staff regarding some questions regarding that was on the plans and also certain variance requests and so forth. We agreed to that. We had that meeting after the hearing last month. And coming out of that, there were a number of recommendations we got from staff regarding changes to the plans and also some additional variances that was suggested that we request in combination as part of the development. And we've incorporated those now into the plans and also added this additional request. And part of this additional request coming out of that meeting is that we needed to request, it was suggested that we request an extension of the conditional use, which is coming up in December of last year, was approved by council. So in looking at the agenda here, it appears that the add-on request is what we're talking about first. And the first thing there is the request for an extension of the conditional use that was approved last year, and was approved by council in December of last year.
And Jim can speak to this better than I can. From our understanding, we have no legal standing to be able to request an extension of a conditional use permit, but I'll let Jim speak to that. What we, as an administration, when we looked at this as a new application because technically, I believe today, your 1 year hits for your these conditional use permits last for a year. And technically, from what I'm hearing, it was approved a year from today, last year, to be able to get, moving on the project. And because of the challenges we've all faced together, it hasn't gotten a chance to move forward by today's deadline. So today we were thinking this was going to be a new request. That's how we were looking at it. And so I'm seeing here it says an extension. So do you want to clarify that this isn't an extension and this is a new request for a conditional use?
Well, relying upon the discussions that we had and that Jim was involved with. In fact, I believe it was his suggestion at that meeting, is specifically what we were going to be requesting was a one-year extension of the existing conditional use.
Well, I'm hoping we can, when I heard that's why the meeting was kind of running behind, because we were kind of trying to talk through this. I'm hoping that this is just semantics and not substantive. And my recommendation is that we proceed today, hear your request, and that if mechanically this needs to be treated as a new permit, that we treat it as a new, if it, because I don't think we can treat it as an extension. So if the lawyers and things would allow for this to be perceived and treated as a new request, I think that's the opportunity we have to continue to move this forward. But I will defer to legal counsel in terms of how might we proceed today to make the most of what they've done, the effort they've put in since our last meeting, the effort of folks being here today. How can we make the best use of our time today that would help inform and make a recommendation to City Council so that they can continue to move this project forward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, I confirmed with Daryl and Dawn to make sure I didn't say something that was different, because your application kind of does two things. One, it requests an application for a conditional use permit, a new application. That's on number 4, third box check, or third line checked. Then later on, you basically indicate an extension. I've never had a discussion with anybody about this extension. Our code section clearly states you have 1 year from when you apply to start construction, not finish, start construction. Okay, so we knew we weren't going to make that, because today is the last day. And even if you can't put shovel into the ground, because you'd have to have a developer's agreement, which hasn't been negotiated, nor has there been a bond posted. So no way within the first year could you meet those requirements of the code. So I don't believe anybody ever said the word extension, but we did say, and I will acknowledge, that we said file an application for a new permit, and I would try to work together with you so they could go hand in hand. They'd be conditioned on each other. And now this gets twisted one other part, as and again, this was something I wasn't expecting. Items 1 and 2 on the agenda, the Oliver Center and the daycare center, inadvertently, not through me, I'm not involved in that part, did not get referred from council to this board. We are a body that gets recommendations or referrals from council. There are certain things that aren't referral that we hear, subdivision, plat approvals, like we did earlier for phase 4. But for some reason, it did not get referred from council to this body. I apologize, it had nothing to do with me or anybody on the body here, but it didn't get referred. I think the only way to do it is a new application, which you have checked that off. I don't know whether you paid the $500. We can check with Ashley to see. That was paid. So I think you treated, my opinion, you treated it like a new application, like we talked about. I don't know, you put that extension language on the bottom, and those contradict each other. An application and an extension are two different things. So I believe what we have here is an application, and you paid the money. So I have no debate that. The problem we have is there was never a referral from council to us, because when you do a new application for a conditional use permit, we work at council's request. Council sends us a referral, and then we vote on that referral. I have no objection that if we had gotten that referral, that you would go ahead and, do what we did the first time, a year ago. Unfortunately, that twist, again, which no one on this board was involved in, happened, and so we don't have a referral from council to hear this, and I apologize, but it wasn't something I did or anybody on the board, and it just accidentally happened. 4 years we haven't had that issue, but it happened on items 1 and 2, and now it's happened on this one. So my opinion, unfortunately, is without the referral, we don't have any power, because if we don't get the referral from council, we can't make a decision. Once we have that referral, then it's back to where we were the first time, and you'd have 1 year again from start to finish. And I know this has dragged on many more times than any other thing I've been involved in, period. But that's the dilemma we have today. We have no referral from council to hear this. I do take this as an application for conditional use permit, and you paid the money, and that's what we had recommended you do. And then I thought we would work hand in hand today, saying, look, they're subject to each other, working together. If council doesn't approve the conditional use, the variances, et cetera, don't matter. Or if you get the variances but no conditional use, it doesn't matter. But unfortunately, council didn't get the referral to us. That's it in a nutshell.
So there's good news and bad news in that. The good news is it doesn't sound like a bunch of work needs to get done or on your end to get this moving forward.
There's no work on their part. It's
Yeah.
just council has to refer
Yep.
them.
The bad news is we're unable to have any authority today to do anything that would be helpful to you in this process because of us not having that referral. And I apologize. I know you've been here since probably 10:45, and here it is 12:45, and now you're learning this. But yeah, we will. The next step, Jim, would be, and I think it already now is the council is aware of this, so it will be referred at the next city council meeting. So it will be able to be heard officially at the next planning commission meeting. And yeah, unfortunately, I won't be there, but
That's my interpretation, and I don't think there's any gray area.
yeah, for
It's
sure,
an
for sure.
inadvertence there that the referral didn't get made.
So our apologies again, and again, there's no additional work asked of you. I think you've done, and we appreciate you going and doing the hard work to get this thing tightened up for the next meeting. And you know, we wish the best for you in this future project. With that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. There's no further business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hayden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Calvert. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank y'all for all your service during my 4 years here on this board too, so thank y'all, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'd like to add one more thing. My name's Bob Corna, the architect, and I've been involved with the project for 16 years. There's one thing that was discussed is, as we talked about it, it has to be a shovel in the ground to start the project. Well, we've been working there for 15 years, building a golf course, building roads, building all kinds of stuff. That project was started a long time ago. More recently, we've been working on moving the green for number 7, and the green has to be moved for this project to move forward, and it's part of the turnaround